And you feel Trump is your friend, and you feel you could do things to be in this one good book, you care about nobody. TNT quoting Trump's latest tariff crackdown again. And for those who would like to take a read, it's so much. I'm going to give you all the article. You all pause and read. I ain't reading all of this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Leave some comments and let me know what's your thought on this.
Caribbean cousins, Madam Boss Lady, the man in the White House implemented tariff on Trinidad and Tobago about up to 12%. Maybe. I thought you would be exempt because you have done so much favors for the man in the White House. And I also thought Trinidad and Tobago will be the next 52nd state. What happened to all those favors? Oh, you failed to prevent forced labor of the purest of the purest to protect the American economy. So that's why he's implementing tariffs on his trading partners. That includes Trinidad and Tobago. You weren't exempt. No more favors. Aww. That man is all for himself. Oh, when he done use us in the Caribbean, he just chew us and spit us out. CARICOM look nice now, eh? You don't want to leave anymore. CARICOM look nice now, eh? CARICOM is the best trading partner. Look nice now. Okay. Oh, Madam Boss Lady. I guess you're not the 52nd state anymore.
Well, kill me dead. I thought that we were the 52nd state of the United States of America. According to multiple reports published today, the Trump administration has imposed new tariffs on imports from 60 trading partners, and Trinidad and Tobago is among affected countries. The new measures are being implemented under Section 301 of the U.S. Trade Act and are intended to replace earlier tariffs that were struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. So to make a circle and come back. The potential impact on Trinidad and Tobago could include, but not limited to, reduced competitiveness for some exports entering the U.S. due to higher import costs, possible effects on exporters in sectors that sell goods to the U.S., depending on whether their products are exempted or not, increased pressure on trade and investment if the tariffs remain in place for an extended period of time, and many products, including some energy-related products, food, aircraft, and critical minerals, are exempt from the new tariff. So the overall effect on Trinidad and Tobago will depend on which exports are covered and which ones are not. I thought we would have been getting preferential treatment from the U.S. By now. I mean, I'm shocked to see us on this list. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on this matter? New tariffs by the U.S. and we are on the list. There was a little glitch in the video there, not sure where it ended, but I'm still saying that I thought that we would have been off of this list, seeing that we have such a fantastic relationship with the US and all of the things that we have done in the last year to assist them with their shenanigans with Venezuela and etc. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on this? Make sure and leave them below in the comments. Keep it clean, yeah, or else you would be blocked or they will be deleted. Take care.
Good afternoon to the citizens of the Bahamas. It was Mateo, the voice of the Bahamas. To the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Brave Davis. President Donald Trump imposes new tariffs on dozens of countries over forced labor concerns. Let me step out the way, man. The Bahamas is at number 4. And look at Guyana. Yes, Guyana. Guyana is at the bottom. Dominican Republic. Oh, yeah. See, to the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Brave Davis. Forced labor, bro. You know what forced labor is? You gonna learn sooner or later, you know. You know, I work hard every day to bring you down, bro. I work hard every day. 12.5% tariff on the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, Philip Brave Davis administration. So the whole Bahamas got to pay for it. Remember, I keep telling y'all over and over, when persons have a plan for a country, God has a different plan. Some of y'all might not agree with Donald J. Trump, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. Someone has to stop the forced labor. Someone has to stop the government officials that feels like they need to force people to work. All right? They need to put down on people. All right? And this is not slavery days, bro. Slavery days is over with. And then on top of that, you be wondering why when the people at the airport strike, then you hear, or they call a judge and say, oh, one of the Supreme Court judges say, y'all better go back to work, or y'all gonna get some disciplinary act. Excuse me? That is not right. That is not right. All right? Some of y'all been forced to work in these medical fields. For nothing. 300 teachers y'all went from, go get from Ghana. Yeah, Ghana. 300 teachers. But y'all can't pay your own teachers. Nah, y'all mad? Don't get mad. Stay glad, because my president, Donald J. Trump, he ain't playing with none of y'all, bro. That's 60 countries, bro. All y'all gotta pay the piper. Yeah. All y'all gotta pay the piper. So your little surplus is not gonna be what you thought it was, buddy. And then on top of that, y'all moving on top of narcotics. All right? Importing firearms in the country of the Bahamas. Why? Y'all have one big criminal organization in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And I hope one day, President Trump visit the Bahamas. Yes, visit the Bahamas and go on the golf course. Go on the golf course real quick and look how much forced labor that's on the golf course. It's forced labor all around the country. That's why they import foreigners to come work. Haitians, Jamaicans, every other race they can force into working for cheap money. That's what it is. Instead of raising the minimum wage, instead of making the country better, nah, they gonna force people to work like they did them Chinese at Bahamas. Took their passport.
So these people haven't received any money as yet. Today's Friday, the 24th of July. A couple days ago, we saw where they posted an article where the workers complained about where they haven't received any money since May. And today is Friday, the 24th of July. Another article is out. So the National Program for the Upkeep of Public Spaces workers say delayed pay is causing financial hardship. Employees of the National Program for the Upkeep of Public Spaces who have been waiting for their wages have been told the administrative issue responsible for the delayed payments could be resolved by the end of this week. But workers say the delay has been causing them hardship. You know, I can understand why it's how poor people always had to be begging, always had to be fighting. It's not like if these people and them going and asking for handouts or asking for a little change free. They work for the money, pay the people the money. People have bills, and I know how this be when it is you're depending on your little money you work for, because you have bills to pay. I should have borrow money to travel, for passage, and all of this run around and it's small money, yeah? Small money, yeah? And you know the thing is, I sure politicians that get the money on time, dread. But every time the small man on the ground work for the little change, it's always a set of run around, always a set of beat up. And then when they do get the money, all the money gone because they had to pay back whoever they borrow from and they had to pay bills. Come now, man, pay the people the money now, man. And for those who come in with the negative comments and who can't help it because you're so caught up in politics and party and you're studying these people, I want you to put yourself in these people's shoes. Picture you are the ones who work and can get paid. And just put aside the politics and the party aside and think about that.
The Hadid fiasco justifies my reason and the independent senator's reasons for not supporting the special zones of operation. Can you imagine if Zozo became law? Can you imagine that this UNC Kamala-led government had that kind of unchecked power? The state of emergency, technically, of course, they found loopholes, but they have to come to Parliament. It expires. Even if they have to wait a week before they call another one, there is some parliamentary oversight. They have to come and debate in Parliament. The opposition has to have an opportunity to speak and put things on the record. Zozo had none of it. We argued that there was too much power in the hands of persons that are politically appointed. We argued that there was no oversight. It was simply dangerous. And I hope that those who criticized us for protesting against it, for pushing for the independent senators, and for those who said that the independent senators were supporting crime by not supporting Zozo, I hope you understand this morning why that bill was dangerous. We had former Commissioner of Police, yes, Gary, I have to say, you supported Zozo, and we said to you and to others, Zozo in theory we support. The details, and that is why there is a saying that the devil is in the details. Because now everybody coming to say, well, you see that prevention detention order, preventative detention order, PDO, it needs revisiting. The law needs revisiting. That is where we would have been had Zozo been passed. We would have passed a bill that had no sunset clause, that had no parliamentary oversight, that gave enormous power to politicians. And as I said, they had no sunset clause. So there was nothing we could have done about it. We would have had to hope that later on, after the UNC get voted out, that maybe PNM repeal the bill. That would have been our only recourse. So I hope this morning that people understand we don't come here and do videos to make noise or to get likes or to be popular or whatever else. We do this for love of country because wisdom dictates. And I've been inside of UNC. I've been at the table. I know the dangers. And I keep saying UNC argued time and time again against many, in theory, good PNM bills. But we said that any bill that gave a politician too much power was a dangerous bill. I hope this morning people understand how dangerous the Zozo bill in its exact form was. This morning I feel absolutely vindicated because we see that one man could sign away somebody and place them in jail, away from their family, away from their business, and you could die in jail. They could get rid of you. The Zozo bill, you didn't need any explanation, just as you see with the PDO. There is no explanation needed for Alexander to sign away. He can give, and he can give stupid ones, but there is nothing to really justify, and it was the same thing with Zozo. At the stroke of a pen, the Prime Minister could say, as of midnight tonight, West Moorings is a Zozo. And then you go after somebody in West Moorings, you put them in jail, and that's that. That is what Zozo did, or sought to do, to turn any area of Trinidad and Tobago into a state of emergency. I hope Trinidad and Tobago, we begin to understand that we need to see past what is in front of us. We need to see past the desperation, because that's what we did. We were desperate to get rid of Keith Rowley, so we brought somebody worse. We feel desperate to solve crime, so we're willing to give up our liberties, not understanding the long-term repercussions of it. I hope this is a wake-up call to Trinidad and Tobago, because understand something. We used to say that it was hotspots and it didn't affect us. Now we're seeing it affecting the business community. Make no mistake, Johan Harry, as much as his rant was absolutely disgusting and is not becoming of a Christian for anybody to get on like that. But he's in detention because he used his right to express his belief. We said it didn't affect us because it was a hotspot, so at-risk communities, it didn't matter that as gang thing, they could kill out themselves. What are we gonna say now? That it was the 1% community that didn't affect us? One day it will reach the church. One day it will reach, they could come and say, well, Marsha, homeschooling. They can do anything they want. We need to see the bigger picture. We need to take ourselves out of the picture and say, well, it's not affecting me, so I ain't speaking up. Trinidad and Tobago is in a dangerous place. Our democracy, if we thought it was under threat under Keith Rowley, Kamla Persad-Bissessar has taken away our liberty. She has. That's the reality, and we need to speak up. We need to call for an end to the state of emergency. If the UNC cannot solve crime without removing our liberties, and you know what? That's another video. To understand, and that's the manipulation that they do. To understand how unsuccessful this state of emergency is. She talks about murder rate. No, let's compare state of emergency for state of emergency and murder rate and the decreases in murder rate by state of emergency. But as I say, that's another video. This government cannot solve crime. And according to Kamla Persad-Bissessar, if you cannot keep us safe, if you cannot solve crime, then you need to be removed. If she does not remove Alexander this morning and John Jeremy this morning, then she herself must be removed. And if she cannot, it's been a year, if she cannot solve crime without removing our liberties, then she herself must be removed. Get a fresh mandate. You're big and bad? Yes, Kamla 2.0. Then take us back to the polls. Take us back to the polls. Because I guarantee you the 100,000 PNM supporters that protested against PNM will come out. And they have no base, and they know no finances, and the public servants, they will not support you. If you're big and bad, call elections now, because you have failed. You have failed to secure us. And the Hadid matter shows just how dangerous a government you are. Speak up, Trinidad and Tobago, before it is too late.
It is easy. State's lawyers in limbo after Hadid's PDUs revoked. Watch how the state going and cost taxpayers a lot of money. So what these two came here for? Remember these two here? State hires UK barristers in Hadid case. You had to ask yourself this: how much money the state pelt out to bring these two here? And now they're going back home smiling with our taxpayers' money. The lawsuit that coming against the state, all the taxpayers' money had to jump out. So they just rough up these two here, had them lock up, no charges, no solid evidence, and now they are free. Trinidad and Tobago, rich. Now they are calling on the Prime Minister to fire Roger Alexander. Griffith calls for Alexander to be fired over detention fallout.
The country's bills. This loan does not pay for new schools, hospitals, or roads. It does not create jobs or income for the country. It's mainly to pay off old debts and government costs. The loan is controlled by American laws and courts, meaning that if there is a problem, the rules will be decided outside of Trinidad and Tobago. This puts Trinidad and Tobago in a tough spot spot, as every year money will be sent out of the country to pay back this loan. Money that won't be used to help the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago has borrowed $1 billion to help pay the country's bills. This loan does not pay for new schools, hospitals, or roads. It does not create jobs or income for the country. It's mainly to pay off old debts and government costs. The loan is controlled by American laws and courts, meaning that if there's a problem, the rules will be decided outside of Trinidad and Tobago. This puts Trinidad and Tobago in a tough spot, as every year money will be sent out of the country to pay back this loan. Money that won't be used to help the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
Here is a quick news update for TNT. Dominic and Genevieve Hadid are back home after the Minister of Homeland Security revoked the preventive detention orders issued against them. The ministry says the decision followed a review of legal, medical, and public interest considerations, including a recommendation from the Constitution Review Tribunal. The couple had been held for close to a month. Their release does not end the criminal investigation into an alleged plot involving the Prime Minister and senior government officials. No charges have been laid against the Hadids, and the allegations have not been proven in court.
Hadid released as Homeland Security Minister revokes PDO. Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander has revoked the preventative detention orders issued against businessman Dominic Hadid and his wife Genevieve Hadid, saying their continued detention was no longer proportionate while the criminal investigation continues. In a media release issued today, Alexander said he revoked the orders after reviewing the legal, medical, and constitutional issues surrounding the couple's detention. This came after the High Court told them last week they released the people and them free the youth, and they was like, we going to the Privy Council. Well, apparently somebody reviewed the case and called them and tell them,
oh my brother, they looking good now.
Now ask yourself the question, how many other citizens of Trinidad and Tobago have these three scamps detained in the past year, who unfortunately don't have lawyer money like the Hadids have lawyer money, so they can't fight the case. So right now they're just sleeping at rats and roaches in a detention cell somewhere for God knows how long again. I'm telling you all, it's a lot of them. It's hearsay, they say nonsense. I say most of them can't get charged yet. Just detain and just forget about you. You in a bad drinking, you drink some kind of bad punch and you trip off and say, boy, I don't know why somebody do camera or something and you all of a sudden you detain. Who want to go to the Privy Council? I wanted this so badly. I actually subscribed to the Privy Council page yesterday. You can go and put an email and just email your updates about the case. I did it. I wanted to go there bad.
By now, most of you all would have probably heard that the Hadids were detained for a period of up to 22 days using a preventive detention order, despite no charges being laid. And now the Minister of Homeland Security says that the preventive detention orders have been revoked. And one has to ask the question, if there was enough evidence to justify taking away their freedom, then why were the charges laid? And here's another one. Was this really about securing criminal charges, or was it just a political witch hunt to destroy the reputations of these individuals and drag them through the mud, all because of their financial allegiance? Whatever the truth, one thing's for certain. No amount of money could restore the reputations of these individuals and their financial and emotional loss throughout this experience. And if the court finds that the state acted unlawfully, guess who's going to foot the bill? Definitely not the politicians who made this decision. It's going to be the citizens of our country. These people continue to embarrass themselves and our country on a global scale. Imagine we have ministers going in parliament and saying that their lives are under threat and they require more security, all paid for with tax-paying dollars, but then showing up in a crowd of thousands of people for a World Cup viewing party, as though the criminal elements took the day off. And then they wonder why the citizens of our country didn't support the Zone of Special Operations bill, because the average citizen on the street knew that this could be used against them. Today it was the Hadids, tomorrow it could be you. The time has come for the government of Trinidad and Tobago to put an end to the state of emergency. Don't know you guys in the comments down below.
So in today's video, we are going to talk about a couple of topics here, and that is in regards to what the people of Trinidad and Tobago have been talking about in the last 24 hours. So this in essence is one of the latest news about what the Trinidadians are talking about. So we are going to talk about the cost of living and why the government is borrowing like $1 billion to pay these particular bills. We're going to talk about some institutions in Trinidad and Tobago experiencing delayed salary to their workers, the added controversy, the state lawyers who are in limbo. We are going to talk about the controversy surrounding Nicole Alexander and the calls to end the SOE. So that will be our topic. So welcome back everybody, and I can honestly tell you there is a lot of things that are happening in Trinidad and Tobago, and many people have this one particular question: is Trinidad and Tobago moving forward or moving backward? Or is it that the problem is just getting bigger and bigger? So today we are going to look at several stories, as I already introduced in our video, and of course each of them is different in their own way. But if you look at it in a bigger picture, they paint a better picture about Trinidad and Tobago, a picture that many Trinis are now talking about. So one of the biggest international stories that's coming out from Washington, D.C., that everybody is talking about at the moment, is the fact that the president of America, Donald Trump, has announced another wave of tariff, right? I know you've heard by now. So these tariffs are going to target imports from several countries, and imagine Trinidad and Tobago are part of it. So the people in TNT are asking, is this going to affect them? Taxes are going to be imposed on their goods. It's going to affect them. So I know not many people are so sure about this, expect those who are dealing with import and exports businesses. And I can tell you that international trade has a funny way of affecting everybody. You see, if these major economies, the superpower economies, slow down, then what they'll do is to demand for changes. The supply chain will shift, the shipping cost will increase, the market, energy market will react. So businesses become cautious at the end of the day. Countries like Trinidad and Tobago will eventually feel the impact in one way or the other, even if it affects them indirectly. So people are actually trying to understand what is really happening, because you see, these global economies normally is kind of connected in some way. Now imagine facing such a global uncertainty and at the same time dealing with local challenges. So that's where today's conversation becomes really important. If you talk about Trinidad's economy, we have reports saying that Trinidad and Tobago is borrowing $1 billion US, and that explanation is very straightforward. It's going to help the government pay the bills. So now, borrowing is not something that is unusual. Many countries do borrow money. The real question is kind of different here. What is the money being used for? That's very important. Is it going to help build the future of Trinidad and Tobago, or is it simply going to pay today's expenses and then we go into another cycle of the same thing tomorrow? So that's what the taxpayers of Trinidad and Tobago want to know. Borrowing can be useful, and if it creates economic growth, then that's well and good. If it's going to improve infrastructure, well and good. If it's going to create jobs, well and good. If it's going to increase productivity, well and good. But again, if the government is just borrowing mainly to cover recurring expenditure, then that will be very, very difficult, especially for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, because of course they're going to ask, who is going to repay this debt? How much interest will the taxpayers eventually cover? What will happen if the economy slows down? I mean, very important questions from the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And you see, during these uncertain economic times, these particular stories or kind of conversation can directly lead into another issue. And the delayed salary for NPUPS workers, we need to talk about that. Imagine showing up to work every day, doing your job diligently, honestly, meeting your targets, responsibilities, but your salaries don't come on time. And remember, bills don't wait. Rent doesn't wait. School fees does not wait. Groceries doesn't wait. People need to eat. So many workers are saying that delayed payments create unnecessary stress, especially for the NPUPS workers. And I understand that. So Many families are now beginning to adjust to budgets, and of course, it's very, very stressful because they're going to borrow. Most of them will, of course, borrow just to survive, not to even live. And people understand that government sometimes face challenges, yeah, but also they expect the workers to receive their wages on time. So, because you see, every delayed payment to an individual anywhere in the world, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, affects real families, real people, real children. So that needs to be put into consideration, and the workers needs to be paid. Now let's talk about another story that has generated a significant discussion here in our video today, or in this online spaces, and that is the Adid situation. This story has actually attracted attention in Trinidad and Tobago and globally because it involves business, government decisions, and legal questions. So whenever a major company becomes involved in a dispute with the government agency, what normally happens is that people will really want to know what's happening. People want fairness, transparency, and accountability. And of course, those who are supporting the government actions will be like, yeah, you're doing a great job. And of course, we'll have those that will believe like businesses deserve greater certainty, not uncertainty. So whatever side that anybody takes or you take, most of us really want consistency, and we believe that businesses need confidence before investing. So investors want predictable rules, because you see, uncertainty in business discourages future investment, and that in turn will affect jobs, and that in turn will affect economic growth. That will affect everybody at the end of the day. So the Adidas issue created another consequences. We have reports here indicating that some state lawyers or attorneys are now left in limbo after the Public Defender's Office authority involving Adid was revoked. So for the lawyers that were involved, that creates uncertainty, because professionalism wants clarity. People want to know where they stand. People want to know, or rather professionals want to know what will happen next. Legal uncertainty rarely benefits anyone, whether you support the government positions or disagree with it. Most people simply want a legal process to be clear, a predictable one, a fair one. Anyway, I don't know what you think about that. If you comment down below, we'll really appreciate that. Now, I don't know if you had this controversial story or comment about Nicole Alexander. These comments, she actually reportedly she wanted to be removed from the social media, or from this media that it was going to air this interview. So this sparked out a debate across media stations, social media, everywhere. People are talking and people are arguing. And you see, when something has gone into public conversation, then it's very difficult to erase. So we have those that believe that everybody deserves the opportunity to clarify statements that may have been misunderstood. In today's digital world, guys, nothing disappears easily. Screenshots remains, videos spread, clips circulate very fast. People continue debating long after the original comments. Oh my God. This raises an intense question. Should public figures be charged forever by these statements? No. I mean, context does matter a lot, and reasonable people sometimes disagree, but the discussion itself shows how powerful social media has become. You can imagine just one interview or one clip or one comment that only can dominate a national conversation for many days, for many years, for many months. So crime activities in Trinidad and Tobago was one of the issues that made the state of emergency to be imposed in Trinidad and Tobago. But now many Trinidadians are asking, like, is it not enough time? Is it not enough time to end this state of emergency issue. So, of course, many people believed that this SOE helped, law to be enforced easily. But again, you have those that are like, you see, these particular SOE measures should never become permanent, because at the end of the day, we need balance. People want security, yeah. We also value civil liberties, yeah. Governments have to be balanced both. So if crime kind of go down, then people expect these restrictions to be lifted, right? And if it remains high, then yeah, it's okay to impose this particular type of restrictions. So this debate about a state of emergency is unlikely to disappear soon, because everyone wants the same outcome, as if at Trinidad and Tobago. And as much as people differ on how to achieve it, when you kind of sit back and try to look at every story together, that really makes a lot of sense. So the Trump's tariffs, the government borrowing, delayed salaries, deeds, controversy, legal uncertainty, Nicolas Alexander's controversy, the state of emergency debate. If you look at all these things, you'll begin to look or notice something, that people want confidence in the economy. Trinidadians want confidence in institutions, public institutions. Trinidadians want confidence in our leaders in the future. And this is why this particular conversation that you're having today matters a lot, because confidence affects investments, confidence affects spending, hiring, growth of young people. So no country that doesn't have challenge. Every country has a challenge, but then at the same time, most of the countries, they do face criticism. The opposition leaders raise concerns. That is democracy at the end of the day. But what the people want is just solutions, not endless controversy, speeches. People want stable leadership, steady leadership, clear communication, accountability, visible results. So in the coming months, it will likely determine whether confidence will grow or not, whether frustrations will continue or not. It's only time that will tell this. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these stories concerns you the most? Do you think that Trinidad and Tobago is healing in the right direction? Or do you believe that tougher decisions are needed in order to bring Trinidad and Tobago back into its shoe? And anyway, I'd really appreciate if you comment down below. Let us know what you think about these particular topics that we talked about. I'll see you in the next video.